awful terror of Hamas.
Joining me now from Tel Aviv is Mark Dubowitz. He's the chief executive of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Welcome, Mark. Good to see you, as always. So what is the prime minister proposing here? Take over all of Gaza for a while, or just the north in Gaza City?
Thanks for having me, Paul. Yeah, I told the Prime Minister a few days ago, and he certainly told me what he's now saying publicly, is that the IDF is looking to move in and take over militarily the rest of Gaza that they don't control. They control about 75% of it, but 25% where Gaza is also where the hostages are. Offers on the table from the United States and Israel for ceasefire, Hamas to return hostages, but so far Hamas has been unwilling to do so, and the IDF is now moving in.
So the idea here is to really keep the pressure, raise the pressure on Hamas so that it is finally willing to return the hostages. But of course, that hasn't worked so far. Why do they think it will now?
Well, I mean, it's a very difficult situation, and there was obviously a massive debate between the and IDF, and particularly the IDF chief of staff, leading up to this decision. I mean, it's been almost 2 years of fighting, and while the IDF is committed, these soldiers are patriotic, they're tough, they're also exhausted after 22 months of fighting. So I think at this point, it's just one more attempt to try and put pressure on Hamas to try to get a ceasefire, to get the hostages back. While we're doing this, the United States and Israel are flooding in to stabilize the situation in Gaza ahead of this military operation. But at the end of the day, this is about finally, is there going to be leverage? Will Hamas finally accede to these demands? Or if not, then the Israeli military is going to go in there hard and fast to try and end things once and for all.
I guess the alternative, Mark, one that's been discussed is accept the victory so far that Israel has achieved, step back, create a kind of buffer zone around Hamas, patrol the corridor between Egypt and Gaza that Hamas has used to rearm in the past, and then just kind of leave it to Arab governments or others to restore some kind of governance there that isn't led by terrorists. Why not pursue that option instead?
The Trump plan is very much a plan that the Israeli government has supported for months now. This would make the most sense for everybody. It's certainly for the people of Gaza, but it's being wholeheartedly rejected by Hamas time and time again. I mean, Hamas wants to reconstitute both its military and its political governance. Right? It doesn't want to let go of Gaza. It doesn't want to let go of the humanitarian relief, which it really is its leverage on the Gazan people. And it certainly doesn't want to lay down its arms. It's had 22 months to lay down its arms after its brutal invasion of Israel on October 7th, its killing of 1,200 Israelis and Americans and others, and the taking over 240 hostages. So ample opportunity to do this. Hamas just keeps rejecting this time and time again.
The prime minister also said this week that he would like to turn over Gaza eventually to Arab governments to help to run it, basically, so Hamas would not. Peaceful administration there. But boy, I don't know of any Arab governments who really want to do that. I mean, who is he talking about? Who could do it?
Well, this is the great sort of hypocrisy of what we're seeing, right? I mean, these Arab governments, right, who are putting, huge pressure on the United States and on Israel to take care of Gazans have absolutely no interest in taking care of Gazans. I mean, the Egyptians, who have a border with Gaza, have refused to open that border to allow Gazans to get out of the war zone. And why? Because the head of Egypt, Sisi, knows that if he does, there are going to be Hamas in those crowds of Palestinians that come into his country, and he's deathly afraid of Hamas and deathly afraid of the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is the Palestinian wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, and the Muslim Brotherhood has been trying to bring down the Egyptian government for decades. So these Arab governments seem to have no interest in really helping Gazans, and let this be a problem that Israel and the United States have to deal with. It's hypocrisy at the highest levels.
The other thing that's happening is international pressure on Israel in the wake of this. The Germans now are saying they won't provide arms to Israel that are used in Gaza. And of course, you know that France, Canada, and the UK have said they will plan to go ahead and recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations in September. Of course, no such state exists, but that is a form of international pressure on Israel. What are the costs of this continuing operation internationally for Israel?
Well, I think the important thing to understand, obviously there's costs in Israeli legitimacy internationally, but they were tantalizingly close to a deal with Hamas until the French, the Brits, and the Canadians came out and recognized a Palestinian state. And as well, there was a huge information operation in order to spread what I think was quite mendacious, is that there was massive starvation in Gaza. So with that in mind, Hamas felt very emboldened, and they stepped away from this deal that was on the table, a deal that looked like it was going to get concluded. But Hamas assumed that if the Canadians, the Brits, the Germans, the French, and others are going to put massive pressure on the Israelis with massive international pressure, media scrutiny, and the Democratic Party of the United States calling for the cutoff of arms sales to Israel, why would they need to do a deal? Why would they need to agree to any ceasefire and the return of hostages? And that's what really created the deal.
All right. Thanks, Mark Dubowitz, for coming on. Appreciate it, as always. And we apologize for the intermittent connection there. When we come back, President Trump is ramping up pressure on the pharmaceutical industry to lower the cost